Hey everyone, it's Dr. Tanisha Allen here, and I want to welcome you to another episode of The Gathering, where faith meets vulnerability. I'm excited to invite you into this community where we are able to just tell our stories, be who we are, and know that God is doing great things in our lives. This is a season where I believe that women all over the earth is going to be risen up by God to do exploits in the earth realm. Today we'll be talking about God's grace in difficult season. Last episode I talked about my journey to Christianity. I just gave a little snippet of it because if I was truly supposed to tell the entire story, I think I could probably make 12 episodes of that journey because it was really, really, truly a journey. But today I want to talk about God's grace through difficult seasons because I think if we're moving into Christianity, we have to understand the or how to apply ourselves in difficult seasons. There has to be an understanding and there has to be an application to it. And a lot of times, I think this is where we fumble. This is where we fumble a lot. And it's not just me, it's not just you, but we all do it because coming into Christianity, because the coming in is so sweet. The coming in is so exciting and so it's just so new, and you just want to tell everybody about your story and about Jesus, and you want everybody to be saved. But then difficult seasons hit, and a lot of times we if we're not careful, we could leave Christ for good or even in a temporary situation. And if maybe this is not your season or this is not your season of difficulty, but all of us will have our turn in seasons of difficulties. And sometimes the seasons may seem so long as if we are in this prolonged season of difficulty. But I just wanted to just hit three things for you today. I was sitting down and I was looking over the show notes. And honestly, when I was thinking about difficult season, I feel like my entire life has been a season of difficulty. And I'm trying to narrow it down so that I won't be on here on and on because, oh my God, if anyone has had a Job experience, I feel like I could raise my hand and be among those who could really say that they've been through some stuff. And even at times, like Job did, questioning their entire existence, questioning their entire purpose on in earth. Like, why am I even here? Like, why was I even born? Like, there is no purpose to life. And if we're not careful, we will succumb to those thoughts. And so I'm so excited to just share my story, share my testimony with you. And I'm just going to hit on three testimonies today. But before we continue, I just want to remind you to hit that subscription button. Make sure you like this video before we get into it, or even listen, go and tell someone to tune in to this episode. So as I said that, I my entire life has been a series of difficult moments, and I just want to be plain. I want to be honest to you, that if we're not careful, um, we will be okay with just being in a place of difficulty. And when I say that is that we lose our fight. We lose our fight and just trying to fight through life, fight through those difficult moments, fight in our purpose, fight in our friendships, fight in our family. Like, just we will lose all our fight if we sit and we just uh come to this resolve that nothing is going to be better for us. Now, naturally, I am a fighter. Um, I don't even know why it is something that I kind of gravitated to as a young girl, but initially it wasn't so. Initially, I didn't know anything about fighting, right? I didn't know anything about somebody hits you, you hit them back. And I just remember, if you listen to the last episode, you would know that I've always been ostracized. I was always bullied for one reason or another. Either I'm too tall, or I'm too this, or I'm too that, or I'm not enough of whatever it was. But I was, in every season of my life, I feel like there was someone that felt like there was something that I wasn't enough of, or I had too much of. So as a young girl, especially coming to America, and coming into this American culture, and being very Caribbean, right? And my family is very Caribbean. Um, it kind of put like a bullseye on my head, right? It was like pick me, beat me up, right? Type of thing. And I mean, I used to get beat up every day. Every day after school, I had to sit in the front of the bus, beside the bus driver, so that I could get a head start. So when I get off that bus, I could just hit it. I would just start running home, running home, and then there would be these two girls just chasing me down the street, trying to catch me to beat me up. And because I was smaller than them, they would catch me every time. They would pull all the bows out my hair. They would, oh my god, they would do me so bad. And I remember my mom said to me one day, she said, if you come home one more time and your hair look the way you do and your clothes is tear up that way, I'm going to tear you up myself. And I'm like, uh-uh. And that was the only thing she had to say from that day on. Like, she gave me permission to fight, because I wasn't going to hit anybody, because I never wanted to hurt anybody. And I thought I was going to get in trouble if I was going to fight anyways. So when she gave me that permission to fight, I felt like something clicked in my head. And I used to tell people I was like the Hulk. Like, the Hulk came out of me. She gave me the permission to be aggressive, to be angry, um, to just be cold, right? And I was never the person who will attack first, but definitely you won't be the one to attack me again, so you do something that will trigger me, I'm fighting. And to the point where the boys in my neighborhood will pay me to fight. Like, I will fight mother, father, brother. I would tear a whole house a house up. I would tear I don't know. You get the point. You get the point. You get the point. So I'm saying this to say that coming into Christ, that Tanisha never left me. That person never left me. And the funny thing is that, like, it would take me a time to actually fight. So if I'm like, if somebody is like, girls, they will go back and forth, and will try to run their mouth to try to get you to fight. But I wasn't a running my mouth type of person. Like, if we're gonna fight, we're gonna fight. Like, all that talking it's whatever. We if you want to fight, we're gonna fight. But if I'm like bantering back and forth with you, I'm just playing with you, and I'm not even trying to fight you, right? And I also learned to use my mouth to fight too. So I could say some of the hurtfulest things to people, the most uh dangerous things, that will be like my fists hitting your face. And I knew that I had that ability to do that. And so, you know, sometime when I didn't feel like fighting, I would just use my mouth as fighting words. So when I came into Christ, that's all I knew how to do. So when difficult situations came about with either relationships in the church, or people in the church, or they're just whatever, even with my own family, because, I didn't just become a new person. God had to work some things out within me. And that fighting thing was one of it. Now, when I seriously gave myself to God, and I seriously dedicated my life to God, I felt like the gates of hell just opened up against me. Like, seriously. I was born with sickle cell disease. I always knew that I had sickle cell disease, but I didn't really struggle much with it in my younger years. I would have pains here and there, swellings here and there, um, just little things that will happen, but nothing too great that will keep me in the hospital. My blood levels were always okay. Um, you know, so I never really experienced a true full on what we would call a sickle cell crisis until I said yes to the Lord for real. And when I said yes to the Lord for real, I felt like that just gave me a room into the hospital. I stayed in the hospital month after month after month. It was so ridiculous. Like I didn't even I didn't understand what was going on. And it was just sickness after sickness after sickness. And this is not any little sickness. This is blood clots. This is lung collapsing. This is just so it was just so out of the like ordinary for my life, because I used to do all kinds of stuff. I used to work 2 3 jobs and club at the same time, and I will be able to get 2 hours of sleep a day and still have the energy to go. But I mean, after I truly said yes to Christ, sickness came and haunted my life. And the funny thing is that that was also the season that every prophet, every person with some type of prophetical gift came to me and was prophesying these great things over my life. Not only that, I was hearing from God everything that He had called me to be. If you listen to my last episode, you will hear that like I hear God audibly. I hear God like you're talking to me. He talks to me in this good ear right here. And so just imagine you're going through sickness, you're going through um like near death experience, but in your ear, you're hearing the word of the Lord over your life that seems impossible. How can God be telling these people to tell me things about what He's going to do in my life? And how can God be telling me stuff in my ear and He knows that I'm sick? He knows that I'm literally knocking on death's door. He knows that I don't even know. I can't. I'm just like thinking about that season. Like, how can you say all these things about me, speak all this greatness about me, yet you have me here dying? And that is how I felt. That is truly how I felt. And it made it seem like every prophetic word and everything that I was hearing was a lie. And I had to fight through those seasons, because that I think that was the season that I was going to take my life. Not even I think, I know that that was one of the seasons that I was going to take my own life, because I felt like I had no purpose in it. And I felt like every word was a lie. I didn't even want to hear anybody prophesy to me about anything. I didn't even want to hear what God say that He was going to do in my life, because I was so tired of feeling pain and going to the hospital, and the doctors, there's nothing that they could do but medicate your pain for a moment, until a couple hours later you're in pain, and then you have to be taking these pain medicines, and it's making you sleepy, and then it's stopping you from being as productive as you used to be. And I also had 3 young children at the time, and it was just a lot. It was a lot for me. But this is the time where that fighting, I didn't even know how to fight this battle. I mean, I was praying because that's all I knew to do. But I felt like even my prayers wasn't working. It wasn't fighting the torment that I was feeling in my body. And one very fine day, one very fine day, I decided that I was going to take my life. I decided that, yep, this is it. And let me tell you, I love my children. I love my children. I love my family. At that time, I was married. Um, and you hear some people that will take their lives and like leave their children behind. I think that night, that day is when I realized you're not thinking about your family. You're not thinking about your children. You're not thinking about your loved one. As a matter of fact, even if you are thinking about them, you're thinking that they're going to be better off without you. Because what is my children going to do with a sick mother, anyways? I felt inadequate. I felt that I couldn't do much for them because I was always in the hospital. I was always down. I was always in the bed. I was always in pain. So me leaving wouldn't have been a big deal to me. So I remember putting my children to bed that night. And my girls, they had separate room except my last two, because at the time my last daughter, she was very young. So she was sharing a room with my middle daughter. But my girls, my oldest daughter specifically, she wanted to sleep with her sister. She didn't want to sleep alone. So um my last two children, their room was really big. As a matter of fact, I think their room probably could have been bigger than the master bedroom, and their closet was bigger than the master bedroom. But I guess that made sense if two people or a couple of people could sleep in the room. But it was a good sized room. It had three twin size beds in there, and they had a huge walk-in closet. And I put them to bed, and they were sleeping, and I went and I sat in their closet. And this time is a time where I'm usually praying. I'm usually in my closet praying when they're sleeping. But this night I was so overwhelmed because I wasn't feeling good. I went and I sat, I went and I picked up my pills, my pain pills, and I sat in their closet, and I just remember crying. I was so devastated. I was so tired. I didn't want to go back to the hospital. And I knew I had to go back to the hospital because I wasn't feeling good and the pain medication wasn't working. And this whole thing was happening again. Um, and I took the pill bottle, and it was, I could never forget that 120 pills comes in that bottle. And I just got a brand new pill bottle, and I went to swallow all of them. And when I put like a good amount, because of course I can't swallow 120 pills, but I put a good amount of pills in my mouth. And when I did that and I went to go and swallow, right before I went to swallow, I heard my middle daughter call my name. And when she called my name, it kind of it scared me, because they were in deep sleep. And I had to spit all these pills out my mouth now and go to see why she's calling me, because she didn't call me like mommy. She called me like, mommy, where are you? Literally just like that. It was so creepy. And I went to her bed, and I remember I was still on my knees because I crawled over to her bed, and she was in deep sleep, asking me where I was. And she was just saying, mommy, where are you? In her sleep. Oh my goodness. I broke down. I literally, I just put my hand on her, and I broke down crying because I knew that was God speaking through. I think my daughter probably was 4 years old at the time. And I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? What am I doing? I couldn't believe that I had put myself so low that I was about to take my life. And not only take my life in my children's room, right? They would have woken up and seen me dead in their closet, which was so crazy to me. And just hearing her voice call me twice, that kind of, like flipped a switch, and it just woke me up. And I remember just running back into my room and going into my prayer closet and just praying. And just, I don't even think I was praying. I think I was just bawling and crying out before the Lord and asking him, why are you calling me to yourself if you know that I'm going to be sick? Why are you calling me to yourself if you know that I can't be useful to you? Oh my goodness. And in that season, because it was a prolonged season, I'm saying years of this. This is a prolonged season. This wasn't just a 6 month thing or a 1 year, 2 year thing. This was almost a 10-year thing. Yeah, almost a 10-year thing. And I think that's when the fighter in me gave up. And that I gave up in the sense of I'm giving up my life. It's the sense that I had to defend myself. Because at all times, even when I came into Christianity, I still had this idea that I needed to defend myself. If somebody said something to me, I had to defend myself. I may not be throwing blows, but I'm going to use my mouth. And because I'm so clever with my words and because I'm so good with words, I don't have to say cuss words to hurt your feelings or to make you feel some type of way. And God killed that in me that night. He killed it in me that night where I lost a fight, right? But God won a battle. And I had to learn that I had to give up. I had to be like Jesus and saying, Lord, if this is your will, take this cup away from me, but your will be done. But your will be done. Like, even if you don't take this cup away from me, I know that your will is greater than whatever I'm feeling in that moment. And I feel like I had that Jesus moment at that time. And that season triggered a response in every other difficult seasons that I've had since, where I knew that if I opened up my mouth to defend myself, if I opened up my mouth to fight, that God would never dispatch angels or God would never send help, because I've already done the work. There's no work for him to do. There's nothing for him to do if I'm in his way. He doesn't have to come and defend me if I feel like I have the power to defend. And so that killed that fighter in me in a sense. And he started to teach me to fight in different ways. Of course, I was already learning to fight in prayer, right? But now I knew how to stand firm in the realms of the spirit and begin to decree and begin to speak some things over my life. But at the same time, not my will, your will be done. And so then another season hit right after that. Literally right after that, I lost my home. I lost my home, which I had not a house, but it was an apartment at the time. Just out of nowhere, the people said that they were not going to renew my lease. And at this moment, I was not working because I was laid off because I was getting sick too much, right? Um, and they laid me off because uh, right. They just laid me out because I was getting sick too much. But anyways, so I wasn't working. So there wasn't any income coming in. My husband at the time was the only one paying all the bills. And because it came at such a surprise, we had no savings to just up and move. You know, if you're moving, you need first, last, and security. Now, at this time, my marriage also was up in the air. And I decided that this was a time to run. This was a time to get away from this marriage. And I was like, oh, maybe this is a God thing. Even though I was like, where am I gonna go with these 3 children? I was like, let's take some wins and swallow the losses, the losses. So I told my husband at the time that these people are not going to renew our lease and we got to leave in the next 30 days. And he didn't believe me for whatever reason. I don't know. Cause I think he knew that I was done and I wanted to go. So he didn't do anything. And him not doing anything made me like solidify the idea that, okay, this is a God moment right here. This is your time to really go, because he don't care. And I went to my family and asked them if they could put me up for a time, and until I could find something to do or somewhere to go. And they all told me no. Like, I mean, I had family with 5 bedrooms, um, 4 bedrooms. I had just empty rooms, and they decided to tell me no because they didn't want, I don't know, maybe they, at the time, they didn't want to pick up like a burden, because everybody knew that I was sickly. um and I remember going to my mom's house, and I couldn't even stay there for a week because she literally made living there hell. And i I was getting more sick because of the stress. And I was also waiting for a spot in the shelter to open up for me to go. And at the time, my best friend, she had a 1 bedroom apartment. God bless her for that. A 1 bedroom apartment. And she told me to bring my kids over because she knew what was going on at my mother's house. And we put down a pull-out bed in the living room for the kids, and I stayed there for, I think, a month before the shelter ended up opening up. And I remember going over to the shelter. Now, the shelter in itself wasn't a bad situation, and this is the second difficult moment of my life. But at the same time, I was in this place of transition, um, because I knew that it was a time for me to separate my marriage. Like, it's over. The marriage was over. And I'm also still going through sickness. I'm still going through, and I think at this moment, I think this was the worst of my sickness. So not only am I homeless, I'm extremely sick. I can't get uh, any work because of how sick and how often this disease was putting me in the hospital. I'm losing my marriage. I'm separated from my husband because I'm in the shelter, and I don't even know where he was at the time. And I felt so defeated as a mother because I couldn't take care of my children. And the shelter in itself, it was nice. We weren't in, I when I heard of shelters, I thought it was like this bummy place and people sleeping on cots, and there's like 100 people. It wasn't. So we actually had our own space. They put us in an apartment, a 2 bedroom spacious apartment that was already furnished and everything. So going into the shelter itself wasn't bad, and my children thought it was the best time of their life because we used to get a lot of free stuff, and they used to have like little parties and little get together. Um, and around that time, it was the holiday season, was Thanksgiving and Christmas, so they were getting gifts and toys, and people were like donating food. So it was a lot. So they were having so much fun. But in me, I was slowly like I was slowly feeling like this is it. This is it. I was writing wills because I thought I was going to die. And so I was calling people and saying, "Hey, if something happened to me, can you take my children? Or can you take this one, or can you take it was a lot in that season. And I was trying to figure out if God was going to sustain my life or if I was going to succumb to this disease. And also, if that did happen, what was to come for my children? Because that was the scariest thing for me, to leave and my children to suffer. That, I think, tormented me more than anything else. It wasn't even death that tormented me. It was the thought of my children being abused, my children be suffering because their mother wasn't there to protect them. And that mental torment in my mind wrecked me. It literally wrecked me. And remember, I was just coming out of a season where I was like, all right, I'm done. Not your will, my will. uh, not what am I saying? Not my will, but your will be done. So I just rested in the Lord. It was, I mean, it was hard, but I just rested. I just rested in the Lord. And I just continued to decrease like things over my life, decree things over my children's life. And I think even in the season, even in that season, my middle daughter was severely, just out of the blue, just started to get extremely sick. She was even hospitalized for it was a few days, and it was just so much. Now, coming out of that season, I end up going back to my I end up going back to my husband. I end up getting a lump sum of money. I was able to put me and my children into another apartment. I was able to furnish my entire apartment myself, and I mean, there was some good things that came out of coming out of that shelter. But I hit another season where, okay, this marriage is really ain't this marriage really not for you, right? This is you really need to go, because when God took me out the shelter, and he kind of start to change the the tides of my life, where my husband was the provider at the time before I went into the before I went into the shelter. But then God had set me up miraculously. I don't know, because at this time I still was not working, right? But he was just providing for me. Oh my goodness. He was just providing in supernatural ways for me and my children. We stayed maybe a year into that apartment that I had. Um, I was able to move from the shelter and into this apartment, and we stayed there for a year. And I remember praying that I didn't want to stay in that apartment. I needed a house, and God gave somebody a dream, and the person came to me. This person used to go to my church at the time. Came to me and was like, "Sister Tanisha, I had a dream about you, that you had a prayer cloth over your head and you were praying and asking God for a house." And I was like, "Yeah," which was so crazy. She was like, "Yeah, well, I'm moving out of my house and I'm buying another house in another city, and I want you and your children to move into this house. And you will be paying." I was paying rent, but it was very low rent for the house. And I lived there for a couple of years in that house before she ended up selling the house. And in that season of me living in that house, I knew that going into that house, I shouldn't have carried my husband with me, right? Um, I knew that it was over and it had been over. Of course, I was trying to save this marriage because of my children, and because I was trying to break a generational curse myself. Did you hear what I said? I was trying to break a generational curse within my own means, within my own strength. So I was holding on to something that was toxic. I was holding on to something that was draining and killing my purpose, because I, again, was trying to fight a battle that was not mine to fight. And when I came to that resolve, when I came to that resolve, and I knew that, okay, Tanisha, this is it. It's time for you to really just let go. I felt like I was battling in myself, because um, I was afraid of what it would mean for my children. Because now I have a teenager and one that was about to be a teenager. And then my youngest daughter, she was still pretty young. But all of them loved their dad. And I didn't want to kill that for them, because I know what it is to be a daddy's girl, because I was a daddy's girl and a grandpa girl. So I knew that men meant something in a young girl's life, and I didn't want to them to lose that relationship. And I didn't know, I wanted to like I was asking God, like, is this what you really want for me? Because in my head, God loves marriage, but then sometimes we have to understand that we can't use the scripture what God put together, let no man put asunder, because sometimes God doesn't put certain marriages together. And I feel like mine was one. Could it have worked? Yes, it could have worked. It definitely could have worked. I think the things that I went through in my marriage um, could have been worked through, but it takes two. It takes two to work on a marriage, right? And there were some things because I mean, we were together for years. I was in a 15-year marriage. So we were together since we were young kids. I was married my entire 20s. My entire 20s I was married, and half of my 30s. So, I mean, we could have worked it out, like, but at the same time, we would had to have started from scratch and build a foundation, a new foundation, and yeah, but that wasn't happening. That wasn't happening. And so I had to just let go, and I had to come to the resolve that this is I there was red flags from the beginning. I shouldn't have gotten married. Um, I, but I did, and I held on to the marriage in hopes that I could fix somebody, in hopes that I could change certain situation, and then thinking that I don't even know what I was thinking. Honestly, I probably wasn't thinking, but I think that was my last most difficult season. Most difficult. I'm just saying, there's a whole bunch of difficult seasons, but that was the last most difficult because, again, I felt like I lost a fight. I felt like I failed my children. I felt like I failed a generation, and I didn't want my daughters, because I have three girls. I didn't want my daughters to be caught up in this generational thing that has been going on long before me. Everybody in my family got a divorce. And I was praying. I was like, God, this is not what I want for my children. I want them to choose a good husband, and I want them to choose a husband that will love them, and that they will love their husband, and that they will be good wives, and their husbands will be good husband, and they will be good parents, and they will just figure out life, because marriage comes with lots of discipline. Marriage comes with lots of compromising. Yes, there's difficult times, but you will have to know how to waver through those difficult times together and grow with each other and understand each other. And I wanted my girls to experience all of that. And I felt like if I gave up this marriage, it means that it would give up that idea that they would not have good marriages. But when I left that all to the Lord, when I left that all to the Lord, and again had to remind myself that it is not my will, but it's His will. And not only did I lose my marriage, but I lost, I would say, a community. I lost relationships. I lost friendships. I lost even respect, because how can now at this time I'm considered a woman of God. So how can a woman of God, who's a prayer warrior, who's a leader, who at this time I'm a associate pastor, um, be able to war for other people's lives and do deliverance and preaching and prophesying, but her marriage she can't keep her marriage. And so it kind of tainted um it kind of tainted some things for me. But as the topic is of this episode, God grace in difficult situation. God reminded me that his grace is sufficient enough, because the warfare that broke out just at the onset of this divorce was fierce, because I realized that I was now going to be walking not only alone as a woman without a husband, but alone without friends, without some family, without a community that once was all around me, without the support that once was all around me. Not only that, because when I divorced my ex-husband, it was like I divorced his entire family as well. Like they all stopped talking to me, they all stopped dealing with me, and so it was just me and my kids. It was just me and my kids. But let me just give you this hope. Let me give you this hope. In every difficult season that I had to weather through, when I was able to overcome those seasons, the blessing and the abundance that God has given me. I'm only telling you about these difficult seasons because I'm just trying to connect with you on a level to let you know that whatever you've been through or whatever you're going through, just succumb to it, in the sense that God is the one fighting for you. You don't have to fight. You don't have to defend yourself. You don't have to tell anybody or answer questions and tell people like this is your side of the story. You don't got to tell anybody your side of the story, because God will be the one to announce it for you. God will give those people the understanding of who you are. God will let every enemy that once was that once used to fight against you now come with you and try to support you. Listen to me. God will give you the grace in any season and in any situation to overcome, but you just have to give up. You just have to give up. You just have to give up. How many times did I say that? You just have to give up and allow God to do whatever that he is doing in your life, because sometimes fire has to break out. You know, there's this thing in farming that every 7 years you have to burn the ground of the crop, because they're revitalizing the nutrients in the soil. And sometimes we have to allow everything to just burn down so that God could revitalize our soil, to revitalize certain things that is around us, so that the fruit that will come up in the new season will be even better than the fruit from the old season. And so I feel like in every difficult season, even after the sickness. I mean, I've learned, when I tell you I learned uh perseverance, I've learned patience, I learned to trust God, I learned all of those characteristics within sickness. And then after I left the shelter, I mean, to this day I'm living in supernatural preservation. God has preserved me supernaturally. Like, I don't have to chase money. I don't have to chase money. If I need something, not saying that I don't go through moments of need, but I mean, if I need something and God is going to provide it some way, somehow. And I've been living in that supernatural provision since then. Since then, oh my goodness. Oh my, maybe that's another episode. We could talk about that. And then after I lost all my connection, I lost my community, I lost my friendship, I've lost my husband who once was my best friend. I've lost his family who I was closer to them than I was even my own family. I lost all of that, but I've gained a new community. I've gained peace. I've gained favor. I've gained so much. But most of all, I've gained understanding. I understand that these difficult situation was good for me. It was good in my character building. It was good in um in toning me down, right? It was good at just at pruning me so that the fruit that will grow in this season will be even more sweeter than the fruits in the last season. It was good for me. So God will give you the grace that you need to sustain you in a place of difficulty. But I think my only thing that I could keep saying over and over is just to give up. Just to give up and trust God. He he him himself is sorting everything out, and he's figuring everything out that you need in that season. But it's only for you just to hold on to him. Just hold on. Just hold on. Hold on to him like never before. Like never before. In those seasons, that's when you really grab onto the horn of his altar and just see what he would do. Difficult seasons will come. Yes, it will come. It will come. It will come. But sink your toes in the dirt and you hold on. You hold on to his unchanging hands. And trust me, you too will see the miracles of a new season. And I'm just trusting God that everything that I've said, every testimony, every situation that I've shared has blessed you in some type of way. Some type of way that if you're in a difficult season, you will have hope. Your faith in God will be restored. That you will know that he has never left you and he will never leave you nor forsake you. And everything that you need in him will be yours. And nothing that you need will be left or discarded from you. I just want to say God bless you to each and every person that have tuned in. I hope that you haven't forsaken the subscription button, but you have subscribed. You also like this video. I also want you to tell somebody to connect. Listen, I am trying to build a community of women that wants to be in a community of like-minded women that can be vulnerable, that could be 100% themselves, that could be 100% uh, everything that God has called them to be, and on a mission to fulfill the assignment that the Lord has given to them. And I want to partner with you in doing that. So just hit that subscription button. I also want you to help me. What is it that you would like to hear? If there's a story, if there's something that I've said that you would like for me to elaborate on, you could do that. You could just comment in the comment section, or you could also email me if you don't want anybody else to know what you would like to hear. If there's a testimony, or there's something that you want to keep anonymous, you could email me at info@drtanisha.allen.com. It is one A separating the two names. So that's info at DRTANISHALLEN.com. Go ahead and email me if there's something that you would like me to keep you in prayer for, whatever it is. Connect with me. We are a community, and I am willing to walk out this Christ journey with you. So you can also follow me on every social media platform. I am on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and all these other platforms at Dr. Tanisha Allen. I also have a personal page on Facebook as Tanisha Allen, and you could follow me. You could add me as a friend. You could do all those good things over there. You could also check out what I have going on over there. I am a founder of a nonprofit organization called Kabod Ministry, where we do community service work as well as worship services, worship and prayer services. We also do gatherings, which we have a gathering coming up soon that I'm about to announce. I think next week. I'm going to be announcing it next week. And if you are in South Florida, because that's where I am, guys. If you are in South Florida, I would love to connect with you. I would love to see your face, shake your hand, and give you a great hug. And just enjoy each other company. We will be doing a gathering soon. So to be announced. To be announced. It's going to be a relaxed thing. It's just going to be a girls' night in. I can't say night out because we ain't going nowhere. We're going to be in a girls' night in. So God bless you until next week. Keep your mind right. Keep your spirits up until we meet again. God bless you.